Hello everybody. So, after making the last video, I really had it, after reading your comments and seeing what people had to say, I really felt urged to explain and bring more things to light that I believe the Lord has showed me. And I was just holding on to them, but if it can help anyone at all, it makes it worth it. And every time I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there too. One, I'm not a doctor, so if you think I'm saying anything medically advising, I'm not. I'm just telling you what happened in my dream and what I think about it, my opinion, which is not scientific fact. Not only that, but every time I create a video, I have noticed a significant amount of spiritual attacks, difficulties recording. It's just, everything goes haywire. And to be honest with you, that's actually what prevented me from making a video so frequently in the past, because I decided I wanted to start sharing these things, but I had gone through tremendous spiritual warfare between the video before the last one, so it took me a whole month before I even spoke of anything else, because it was just so bad. Every night, every day, just the spiritual fighting and oppression. But you know, God be all the glory, for greater is He in me than is in this world. And I just want to share something really important. I've had two dreams specifically that were very real, and I know that they're not just regular dreams. Okay, so they both happen to deal with possibly events preceding the rapture, or maybe something that happens after the rapture. That I'm not sure, but all I know is the first dream, and both of these are dealing with a nuclear strike or some type of explosion that it's just the likes of which you only see in movies and stuff. Well, anyways, the first dream, I was in a Thornton's gas station with my daughter. She was getting a fountain drink, and we were going outside, and I looked in the sky, and you know how the sky's been really naked without clouds? It looked like that. There was nothing in there besides some little wispy little clouds, and I seen a white cylinder, almost like those UFO videos that you've seen on the internet, I'm sure, but a little bit different, because those are usually orbs. But it was a white cylinder, and it was really high up in the sky, and I was looking at it, and all of a sudden it just came down extremely fast, and it hit the city that's in the distance, and it was the city's Louisville, Kentucky, and I live in Indiana, but I can see the cityscape from where I live. Well, usually if the weather conditions are right. But anyway, so I seen it hit. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's just, the buildings were exploding, the skyscrapers were tumbling, the shock wave was expanding, there was a mushroom cloud, and I grabbed my daughter's hand and I said, we gotta get out of here, we gotta get home. And all of a sudden, I was in the house with my daughter, and me, my wife, and my daughter were all sitting in the living room in a circle, and we were holding hands praying. And we were praying, and I could feel the building shake, like the shock wave overtook the building. But nothing happened to us inside the building. And glory be to God, I woke up. Well, about 2.5 weeks later, I had another one, but it was more detailed than the first. I was out in a city called New Albany that's outside of Louisville, still on the Indiana side, and for some reason I was visiting and talking to an ex-coworker that I haven't talked to in a long time. Well, as I was at his house, I had this urgency to leave. So I turned and I started to go home, and all of a sudden I seen it again, the city. Boom, just huge explosion. And all of a sudden I was back at home with my family, But this time it was different. And the thing that really gets me about this one in particular is it didn't stop at like the last one. Like, we experienced the full shockwave in effect, and I didn't wake up through it, which is really crazy because, I mean, it was just so intense. So immediately I was at home and I seen the explosion and the shockwave coming towards us. But for some reason I had told us to lay down, face down. So we were all laying on our faces. And I instructed everyone to cover their ears, clasping it and pushing tight with your face down, eyes towards the ground. And as the shockwave hit our bodies, because I could feel it, I told everyone to force the air out of their lungs, like a real forceful, forcing that air out of the lungs. And really strange, right? So needless to say, it woke me up, and I was like, whoa, that was so real, so intense. And I kind of sat on it, prayed about it, told my wife, a few people, and pretty much everyone that was close in my family. I haven't really told anyone outside of my family this of yet, because I always want to make sure that it's God's will, not mine, before I do anything. But I felt really compelled after the last video I made and some of the things that people were telling me about. It's so important to share the message and to share the warnings, because, you know, as a watchman and women of God, I don't want no one's blood on my hands, especially if God's given me dreams to share with others. It's the last thing I want, is someone's blood on my hands, because I could have told them something to help them. But this is where it gets wild. Later on, a couple weeks after, or like a week and a half after the first dream, we were driving downtown, and I seen a Thornton's, and I looked at the Thornton's, and I'm not even kidding you. I looked at the Thornton's, and I seen the exact same vantage point that I seen when the first nuclear weapon hit, the first dream. Same cityscape, everything. And I do not frequent that gas station at all, if ever. So it just blew my mind. It just came right back to me. It almost made me feel like it was getting ready to happen at that moment. Again, over the last night and today, I've been waking up just with this intensity of this adrenaline. It's almost like an adrenaline dump. It's really wild. I just don't understand, and I'm trying to piece it together, but I don't know. Anyways, it's like a feeling that something's gonna happen, but I don't know what, if that makes sense. But anyways, going into the second one, so last night I started looking into what I seen as far as us laying down and covering our ears and exhaling and things of that nature. So as I was looking into it, I just, started doing some Google searches, and I looked up shockwaves, of all things, and the effects on the body. And I was like, well, maybe God's trying to tell us something that would help our bodies to endure that type of stress. Well, sure enough, believe it or not, there's several different things that can happen to your body during a nuclear strike, or any type. It could be just a simple hand grenade. If anyone's ever thrown a grenade before, you know how big the concussions are on those things. But at least, it's far enough away, but you can feel it. It's like, it feels like a miniature artillery shell going off. But, so, the shockwave is almost as deadly as the strike itself. What happens is there's an immense amount of pressure that overtakes the body, and that rapid change in body pressure can cause your lungs to expand and burst inside your body. And in order to keep your lungs from expanding from the rapid change of pressure is by forcibly exhaling out the air from your lungs. like don't hold your breath kind of thing. And also it mentioned how shockwaves damage mostly the ears, which in my dream, for some reason I was like, cup your ears as hard as you can, put your face down, lay on the ground, be as flat as you can. And the chest compression in my dream, when I told him that when that's a shockwave, I could feel it. It felt so real, like I was actually there. And for some reason, I just had this feeling come over me that just told me that it was just a blow, like just force that air out of my lungs. And so looking into it, I really actually found out that scientifically it's actually a legitimate thing, and I had no idea. And I just thought that was so wild. And once I seen that, I was like, people have to know. They have to know, because if you are around or close and you experience something like this and you're not in the blast circle, you would want to know this kind of information. At least I would. I'm not saying I'm a medical expert or anything like that, but I know if it happens to me, I know what God has showed me, and I'm going to heed the warning. And brothers and sisters, I love you. I have one more thing on another video I'm going to make about spiritual warfare, because I've been experiencing horrendous spiritual warfare. I mean, the likes of which I've never experienced. And if anyone else out there is going through what I'm going through, I've gone through waves of depression where I've just been digging into Psalms 144, Psalms 8, 30. Oh man, it's been just so intense, guys, and I just really want to get that information out there. God gave me an extremely powerful dream that really I think would be helpful for other people to process. Well, thanks, guys. Love you all. Stay strong. Stay in the Lord, for our time is coming. It's coming. Our blessed hope is on the way. God bless you.